All right, guys, welcome back to now episode 4.
Number 4.
Number 4. And so to kind of piggyback off of what we did last week, this week we're going to actually be talking about how to protect this valuable investment in purchasing that new home.
New home,
Okay.
first-time home buyers.
Yes, yes. But before we get there, shout out to we're at a home.
Yes, today we are filming at Ram Construction Home Builders model. Beautiful home here in Avante, which is in Elkhorn North neighborhood. And let's see if I get this right. It's a 3 or maybe 4 generation home builder, and just a great home builder. Builds all over the Omaha metro area. Lots of great lot options and neighborhood options, and we'll give you a little bit more of a tour of the home later. But so thank you to Ram Construction Homes for giving us this beautiful space to film in today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. All right, so let's kind of dive a little bit into this. So obviously when we walked through the home, we kind of got here a little bit early and kind of looked at the home. So we did our own little walkthrough, but kind of leads me to that first question for these first-time home buyers. When you do walk those buyers through the home the first time, what are the things that you want them to pay attention to more?
Okay. As we're walking through for the first time, first-time home buyers.
Yep.
So great question. What we obviously the first thing that catches the buyer's eyes is the aesthetics. And this home, as you will see in some behind us and some videos we'll show you, is a beautiful home aesthetically. But what I have a background in construction, remodeling, and so I have a lot of knowledge about more of the, I call it the non-sexy part of the house.
Yeah.
So the behind the walls, what's behind the walls. So I make sure we get down eventually to the mechanical room, and we look at the furnace, the HVAC system, the furnace, AC, the HVAC, the full HVAC system, humidifier, check the records there to make sure that's been well maintained. Also, in those unfinished spaces in the basement, I like to look and see how the home was constructed, if it was I-joist or a truss system, and what type of insulation was used. And if, a lot of times you can see that in the non-sexy unfinished spaces of the basement areas.
So these are things that then as you're taking that buyer through you're pointing these things out, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm like, I know this kitchen's beautiful, but let's get down to the bones of the home. So I want to make sure they, in addition to some of those major systems, check out the windows, and not just the pretty window coverings, but let's open and close the windows.
And I was gonna say that, like, okay, buyer coming in, can I open the window? Like beyond even just doing the window, what else because it sounds like you should test things. So what are those things that you test that beyond just the windows?
Well, you want to be a little careful, because if you're not currently if you're just doing your first walkthrough of the home, you probably shouldn't be testing. We're not going to like run the dishwasher or put the furnace up high, put the AC down low. That's something that an inspector would do. Yeah, because we don't want to break any systems. We don't own the house yet, but that's something that the inspector would do once we do hire an inspector if we do end up purchasing the home. And during that pending process, then we have an inspector come in and take a look at all that. But we flushing toilets and running a lot of people don't think about water pressure until they've already purchased the home and they're taking a really drizzly shower, and so we test water pressure, and then also windows is another big one, and also just again looking at the casings, making sure there's no peeling paint, and if there is, that's not the end of the world. A lot of those things are very easily fixed, and that's regular home maintenance. But
a home is lived in.
Yes, homes
are lived in.
Right. Yes. Exactly. So. But those are some of the things that I'd like people to look at. And also another major, I guess, component or system of the home is the electrical system. So I always find the electrical box, look at that, see how many amps are coming into the box, see if it's fuses or breakers, and see if there's extra room on that box, especially if I know Mrs. and Mrs. Buyer want to add a hot tub. So we want to make sure there's room. If there's not enough room, then you can add a second box for a hot tub. So just all those kind of things we kind of walk through. It depends on what the buyers are looking for. And also maybe they didn't even know they wanted a hot tub, and now they know, oh, you've got enough room for a hot tub, or Mr. or Mrs. wants kind of a workshop in the garage, or a storage, or a garage space, or a basement space. And might want a 220, and so we want to make sure there's room to add that if there's not currently there. So yeah, it's obviously, we all love beautiful, well pointed, pretty paint and pretty light fixtures, but I really like people to really try to help especially first time home buyers look at these. Like I said, the non-sexy areas of the home that are actually very important to the structure of the home. And
so quick note, before, it's like when you go out and like a little kid in a China store, don't touch everything until you talk to your realtor. Don't burn the house down before you've purchased it. Okay, so that's what I'm hearing. That's good. That's good.
Very well put.
That's good. Now, what about the outside? Because do you do the walk when you go in? Do you go directly into the interior?
Yes.
One. But what about the outside? What do you look for?
Yeah, great question. You do typically go through the inside of the home first. Sometimes we might do the exterior first. And obviously we're kind of in that early springtime right now, so there might be some snow. I heard snow might be coming, unfortunately. But and the exterior. But so in the exterior of the home, the number one thing I look at is grading, and that's the way the dirt that is built up around the foundation. You always want that to be graded away from the foundation, so that water is always being pulled away from your foundation and not to your foundation, which can cause issues. And typically we can see those issues from the grading, and then, well, to your point, we're inside first, so we'll be down we might see some effervescence, which is kind of like a flakiness on a concrete basement foundation wall. And then you guarantee you go up to that spot on the exterior of the home, and the grading is a big thing. Siding, especially around windows and towards the bottom of where the house meets the foundation, it can get a little soft, and you can usually just feel that. And so that's another thing we kind of look at and poke around at. And again, try not to poke a hole in the house. No, we don't own it yet, but again, everything can be fixed, and some of it is not even something that needs to be fixed right away. Like, okay, this is this is a 10-year project. We can get these things taken care of. Roof, and so. I know that's a big thing for insurance companies these days.
It's one of the biggest factors right now. Yeah. So
I had this question today, actually, regarding roofs. And because it's kind of hard for us as people looking at a home to see what's going up on the roof. Sometimes if it's a 2-story, or you can go up and you can see, parts of the roof from one of the windows. But obviously that's why we have an inspector look at it. So I have 2 questions for you. If we don't do an inspection, do your carriers typically send somebody out to take pictures of the roof, or do you go by, how does that work?
Good question. So the inspections actually occur after the policies have been bound. Now,
interesting.
Yes, they do. But here's where you also want to be careful when, again, you're going to be purchasing this. First-time home buyers, your biggest asset that has ever been purchased before, okay? This is why you also want to be careful of who you work with. An agent, another term as an insurance agent, should also be considered a field underwriter. Because what we're doing is we're obviously, yes, representing the customer, but we also have a responsibility to the carrier to make sure that we're writing good quality policies. So the worst thing that could happen, to answer, I guess, your question, is not to evaluate what that roof looks like, okay? So an inspection isn't done ahead of time, but there are pictures. This is why an agent should be asking you in the whole process of purchasing that home, when was the roof last replaced, new? Do you have evidence of that? Whether, again, I think we've talked about this in the past episode, the permits. But I am not a licensed adjuster, right? Insurance agents are not licensed adjusters. But what I would recommend then is just having a licensed contractor come out and just evaluate what the condition, what it looks like. And sometimes we kind of use their feedback to kind of determine, okay, placement, condition, is this going to fulfill the underwriter's requirements for that?
And a lot of times the whole house inspector, who would be one of these type of licensed people who can inspect the roof, will give an educated guess on the age of the roof, and I know that's something that's helpful for you as well.
Now, something that you also brought up though, because guessing what the roof is can be a detriment down the road. Okay.
Oh, that's
because a lot of carriers now are putting limits of how long you can actually insure those roofs for. So if you say that, I think it was 2010, and they're going to limit you to only 15 years, that means the next year you're not going to get 100% replacement costs on that. So
interesting.
be very, very careful of just guessing what it is. And I know sometimes you may not be able to find out, but again, permits, you can pull that permit.
From the city.
From the city.
Yeah, and you can have your agent do that.
Yes, and that will tell you what that year was, and it tells you specifically the type of shingle that was on there.
I've been hearing more and more over the last couple of years, and the insurance agents want to know what class of shingle is on the roof, and so I want to talk about that, and to a point where I sold a home, and we are getting from the contractor who put the roof on last year a report of the class, the make, the model, of everything of the roof shingle and type and make, to get to the insurance agent. And I wanted to talk about, like, okay, what kind of because so this happens to be a class for 2025 install.
Okay.
So what kind, rather than a regular roof, what kind of I kind of threw three questions at you.
Yeah.
But what kind of a discount or benefit does the homeowner get with? And I think it's, and you can tell me what the classes are. I think 5 is the highest class. 4 is okay.
Class 4s.
Okay.
Yeah. So for those that are brand new to any of this, right? You have your regular type of shingle, which is most common that people put on 30, 50 year type shingle. Okay. And they're good. There's nothing wrong. Obviously, it'll keep everything out of the home. And then you get into a different type of shingle that is called impact resistant or hail resistant roofing. You have a class 3 or you have a class 4. Okay. The way that I've been educated on that, the way that they determine this is they actually grab a steel ball and drop it, like multiple times, to determine, to see how it impacts, and does it actually, what does it do to the granular on the tab itself too. So the higher it drops, the higher the classification, the class rating gives you. So class 4 is the best. As far as discounts go, it does determine depending on the carrier. So I won't give you, I guess, a range right now. Okay. I have one in mind, but every carrier is a little bit different in that. Make sure that you do ask these questions. And if you don't know, find that permit or hire a contractor to figure out, or you never know. Maybe hire the contractor and they're the ones who actually installed it, and you can actually get the invoice directly from them.
Yeah. So, and that's, again, your real estate agent can help you with that. Is there a class less than 3?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've never seen one.
Okay.
To be quite honest.
Okay.
And I won't say that there isn't. I've never seen one, I guess, that's been less than 3. I've only ever seen roofers install 3 or 4.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I always kind of wondered that, and I always forget to ask.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think I've seen it in the past in certain documents. It's like class 1, 2, 3, and 4. But
what about, not to talk too much about roofs, like the Da Vinci roofs?
Okay.
Are those are obviously, it's kind of almost like a cement shingle. So are those even could potentially even have a better or a worse ding on your insurance rate? And why I say worse is because it's really expensive to replace. So
when you get into these higher impact resistant shingles, I mean, they're all going to cost more money. Okay. What I would tell you, there's been such advancement in those shingles, which actually, this might even be something down the road in one of our episodes. We talk about this with somebody that actually is a roofer.
Yeah.
That actually might be something
of
interest.
Great.
Yeah.
obviously.
But you have
Question.
your composition shingle, and then you have tile, you have cement. And I know for those that maybe have a wood-shaped shingle, there's actually shingles out there now that actually mimic the look of that. And so,
Yes, I've seen those.
yes,
Yeah, they're attractive.
yes, and they all still have that class rating. Does it cost more? Absolutely, because the look of it, the way it holds its color, etc. So it does come with a little bit more of a price tag on that. So composition shingle is your standard, and then when you go up from there, yes, it's going to vary in price.
So something to really be having a conversation with your insurance agent about, maybe even before you put an offer on a house, is hey, this is the kind of roof. What's that going to look like?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah, and that's
good.
something that they should be quoting. And if they're not asking the question, why are they not asking the question?
Right.
So I know obviously for a lot of homes, you want to spruce them up before you get them to sell. So as a first-time home buyer, how can you distinguish between, you know, a home that's been, it seems like it's been well maintained, but you know, maybe cosmetically it's been neglected in some areas, maybe structurally or whatever that may be.
Like maybe there were some band-aids put on
Yes.
before they put it on the market.
Yes.
Yeah. One surefire indicator that you've got a good homeowner who has been taking a good care of the home is records. You'll see that, and right on the HVAC system will be records of annual, biannual servicing and checking, and again, also, you know, like labeling of the other systems, such as the gas lines and the electrical panel, that type of thing. Those are some things you can look at, and you can say, okay, this person's really been, you know, maintaining all these systems. Again, we're opening those windows, closing those windows, drawers, doors, just to really make sure that, and also an actual like doors to rooms, opening and closing those, making sure those are, because homes breathe.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think we might have talked about that.
Yeah.
So all 7 seasons here in Nebraska, and so you really have to watch things like airflow and humidity and those type of things. So as a homeowner who's watching those type of things, you'll see that there's less, you know, doors catching less, and kitchen drawers not aligning and that type of thing. So kind of more, and it might not be, again, you're looking at the pretty paint, I like how pretty the island is and the countertops, but you know, some of those things that you really want to look at. And also, I found lately, and this is kind of a more recent thing that I've seen buyers and sellers want to do, but they want to meet actually and go over the home systems together.
Really?
Yes, and that's yeah. I feel like a seller who wants to do that is a seller who's very proud of how they've maintained the home and how they and what they've done. They haven't just been, you know, they're going to walk you through like, hey, I got the best person to do this concrete repair. I got this person, and records, having records of all of that. It shows that you have a good homeowner who's been really taking really good care of the home and loving the home, and that's the kind of homeowner you want to buy from.
The home that we're in, I still have the box of all those things that you're talking about that the homeowner gave us, which it really did. It gave me peace of mind knowing that this is a good quality home, and I even want it more now.
Yes.
So there's something that's called a real estate disclosure agreement.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So kind of talk to me a little bit about that. Who does that? And when is that given to the buyer?
So this is actually mandated by the state of Nebraska, and every home seller has to fill out, it's a 4-page document, and it's very in depth.
Yeah, I bet.
and the seller has, like, I as the listing agent can't fill it out. I can help us answer questions and get some things, you know, so that we're filling out correctly. But the seller has to fill that out and give that directly to the buyer, any buyer that's interested. And that goes again through when was the last time this, you know, what's working, what's not working, how many are the bathrooms vented, is attic vented? Where's what type of insulation? What type of any disclosures of any cracks in the foundation? There's so much to it, and then the servicing of furnace, AC, if you have a septic or a well, and also has there been any plumbing, mainline sewage, or mainline plumbing backups? It just goes through so much. So
Yeah.
it's a great protection for a first-time home buyer or any home buyer to they will get that document from the seller, and so that's something that's nice for a buyer to be able to see before they even put an offer in on a home. They can actually, I try to get it to my buyers. If we're going out looking at several homes, I try to make sure I either bring that with me for a specific home or even get it to them ahead of time.
That's good.
So that they can bring it and kind of walk through it. Yes. Yeah.
Now we do something kind of similar on, it's not a real estate disclosure form, but even with insurance, when we look at the property, we're running reports. So sometimes we like to look at the disclosure form and then pair it with the loss history, because if it says that nothing has happened here, but then my report shows the opposite, then the question comes back to why?
Right.
Okay, because you had mentioned even too, something you said, water. Okay, so if there was a sewer water backup coverage, or claim, meaning that like either raw sewage backed up through that sewage drain or the sump pump failed and kind of flooded your basement from there, that would actually show up in that. And so
that's interesting.
Yeah, it would. Now let's even say.
So tell my sellers, do not lie on that.
Yes, we will find out, and it even tells us the date, and it tells us the amount. I'll even go as far as to also say one of the most important ones too is if there was a fire, if you had hail. I actually had one last year where I was quoting it, and they said no, the roof is this age of whatever this age is. My report came back and said, well, wait a minute, why was there an X amount of a claim, which was a large payout last year, and it states it's when in hail? Where's that money?
Right.
Always making sure that this information is always being communicated with your real estate agent and insurance agent with the buyer is very important. We don't want anything to be held up, and we want it to go obviously smooth for them too.
Right, exactly. And a little public service announcement that I was thinking about when we were talking about roofs is we're getting into the spring. So we keep talking about we're getting into spring market.
Yes.
And we were talking about how Omaha has all the seasons. We have hail season coming up pretty soon.
It is, yeah, yep.
So as a first-time home buyer or any type of a buyer, if you are in contract on a home, and your insurance agent will probably call you and say, hey, make sure you get a roofer up. You're in a contract on a home, it closes in a month, a hailstorm comes and hits. What do we need to do?
That is such a good question.
And so many times that just flies over the radar. A new home buyer's policy doesn't cover that storm. So you want to make sure that you're contacting your agent and saying, hey, we need to send a roofer out to go look at the roof that there was a storm that came through last time.
During the exchanging of hands of that property, insurance follows whoever has insurable interest at the time of that claim.
Okay.
Simple.
Makes sense.
That's very simple, right? So for you to figure if I'm buying the home, I'm on the hook for that. It hasn't exchanged hands yet, right? It has not been signed. You haven't gotten to the closing table. So it now becomes that seller's responsibility to have to submit that claim. Good news for the buyer on that end. So
yes,
yeah,
but something to really, especially as we're coming into the storm season, to be watching.
And I would say this is another reason why too, when going through this, making sure that you have all the proper coverages, because I feel like even with new home buyers, I know for a lot of them, if you're right on budget, or maybe if you're a little bit over budget because you really like the house, don't skip all these optional coverages that are out there. I think one of the biggest things that one of the biggest mistakes is just saying, I don't need it, without actually being educated on what that is. Now keep in mind, in the state of Nebraska, flood insurance is something that's completely separate. And I know we relatively live on flat land here, right? But flood, the way that they would describe it, is any running surface water. So if that surface water is entering into your home, standard policies aren't going to cover that. Be sure you know what you're accepting and what you're declining, and that's something that obviously we try to walk through clients through.
I'm always interested in flood insurance because I know, well, FEMA is always changing like what is a floodplain and not, but you're talking about you probably need you need to look into what flood insurance would be even if you aren't in a floodplain. And also another one I have had a client get caught up in was the sewer backup.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
That was a tough one because it's not a normal. No. It's not all insurance agents make sure that's on your coverage and make sure that's on your coverage, especially if you're in one of these beautiful historical homes in Midtown Omaha, because there's so many beautiful historical trees that are growing into the roots of the
absolutely
of the sewer and backing it up, and it happens and it's fine. It's all fixable, but if you don't have that coverage, then it's all coming out of your pocket.
And that's where it would be covered under, if they did have it, something like a service line coverage, which covers a lot of those utility underground things that are unseen that you don't know about.
So I live in a 3-year-old home. Is that still something that I would want to have? Obviously, because even if it's a newer home,
because you never know.
Right.
Yeah, right. You never know. So from the sidewalk, and I believe, please, and I'll have to make sure that this is actually accurate, but I know it's a certain amount of inches from the sidewalk towards your home is now your responsibility as a homeowner. Okay. So, and then from the sidewalk then towards the road is cities.
Well, like in our yard, we had a mole problem when we first moved in, so who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So all those kind of things. I feel like this has been real informational about like all the problems that can happen and how to protect yourself, be risk adverse, and make the right decisions with your walking through with your insurance your real estate agent, and finding out problems that could have happened, inspections, and then making sure you have the right insurance coverage.
So we talked about walkthrough, right? So we've just walked through all of this information. And again, if you have questions, reach out.
Yes.
I think we're both ones that would love to just at least educate people on that. And if you're working with an agent right now, realtor or insurance that hasn't, you need to start asking these.
We'd love to sit down with you, buy a cup of coffee, buy a lunch, buy a cocktail, whatever it is, and just if you're looking to buy a home this spring, we would love the chance to sit down with you and kind of answer any of these questions and go through the whole process with you. I have a buyer guide. You have a lot of information. Just shoot us a text or a DM or however the kids say it. I act like I'm 80 years old. And we can send those guides, those manuals, and that information out to you as well. So
awesome.
We're happy to help in any way. That's what we're here to do.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you watching.
Yes, we'll see you at the next episode. And she is
Jen Bennett, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, your forever real estate agent here in Omaha area.
And Jose Dimas, making insurance simple on purpose. We'll see you later, guys.
Love it. Have a great day.
See ya.